What is up, course heroes? Welcome to yet another video. This is your boy Amit, and today we are going to look at Zenler's page builder and show you how you can create some amazing looking pages using out of the box Zenler's page builder. So with that, let's get started. All right, before we begin, what I want to show you is the art of possible. So I'm inside of my ZZ Templates Club school. This is a one-time charge. If you want beautiful looking pages pre-done for you, check out ZZ Templates. I'll drop that link in the description. So let me show you some of the pages that we have already built. So this is a page that already is built on Zenler, part of ZZ Template Club. Here's another one that was previously built, and let me show you a few more. Here's another one. You can see these are nice clean looking pages. You won't even know that this is possible with Zenler, but it is, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Here's one more here built with Zenler. And there's no special coding here. This is all out of the box using the Zenler drag and drop page editor. Here's one more built on Zenler, and let's go to this one. So this is another one. You can see built completely on Zenler. Yeah, so you can see you can build really good looking pages on Zenler without hiring an expensive designer. Just get your membership to ZZ Template Club. I shouldn't even call it a membership. It's a one-time pay, and you get lifetime access and updates. So now that we know what's the art of the possible, let me show you how to build something like this. So for that, what I've done is I went to AppSumo and found this tool, Vadoo AI, and I went to their website. It looks pretty good. Let me show you what their website looks like. So this is their website, and you can see here they have a bunch of images here and text, and they have this consistent format of image, text, text, image, so on and so forth. And then they continue in that same format, and then you have the pricing table here and the FAQ. So this is what we're going to build, and I'll also show you how to build a crazy footer like this. So we're going to build all of this in Zenler. So with that, I'm going to hop to my Zenler ZZ Template School to show you how to get started with this. So we're going to go to pages, and what I'm going to do here is click on add page. So we'll give this a name. So I've given it a title, and then when you hit tab on your keyboard, it automatically fills in the email slug. So we're going to go with that. I'm going to publish this so that way you can see what this page looks like, and we're going to leave it as a blank page instead of using templates. There's only 2 templates available out of the box in Zenler, and that is why I created the template club, because I was not seeing any options on good looking pages. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this dynamic site header. We're going to build this all from scratch. So what we're going to do here is we'll come back to this header here in a few. First, let's start with this part here. So for this, I see a big bold text, and then I also see some smaller text. So what I'm going to do back in Zenler is I'm going to add a row. Let's just call it 100% row, and I'm going to go to headings and get an H1 and copy that text, paste it here, so my text is done. Now I don't know what's the font name of this, and also what's the font size. So what I can do is I have this Chrome extension called Hoverify that was also an AppSumo deal. So I'm going to enable the inspector in that, then hover over this font, and it should tell me, okay, so it is enter 50 pixels, and then this is the color code. So I'm going to copy the color code, head back to our page editor, and what we're going to do here is go into settings, choose the font. So I think it was Inter. Now that Inter font is not available on the Zenler's font library, so I'm going to try to find one that's closest to it. All right, so I'm going to go with PT Sans. That's typically safe font to use, and of course it's a Google font, so I'm going to keep that. Let's change this to 50 pixels. Now what I'm going to do is add a new element under this, and for that new element, if you go back to Vadoo's website, we can see that this one is much smaller and kind of in the middle of the heading. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to add a 33 by 33 row, and then I'm going to push this out a bit, and then I should be able to add my text. So I'm going to click on add element text. Once I've added that text, I'll go back here, disable Hoverify, and we are going to copy that text and paste it right here. So this is still going outside of the header. So what I can do now is just pull this in a bit more from each of these sides, and we should be good. Pull one more from each side. Perfect. Now this font size, I'm not sure what the font size was. So it is 22 pixels and also enter. So I'm going to first change it to 22, and I'm going to look for another sans font pairing. So that one was PT Sans. I'm going to go with Open Sans for this one, make it regular here and also make it black. And don't forget to save your changes as you're building this page. So I'm going to hit save changes. The first time you hit save changes, you're going to see this SEO settings. I'm just going to hit done and hit save again. Now those SEO setting pop-up is not going to show up every single time. All right, let's continue on. The next step is to add a video. So to add the video, and you can see the video is kind of larger, right? It's going outside of what the width is for our header. So to add the video, what we need to do here, this is the part that is the only thing I would say is a little tricky, but let's see how close we can get to adding this video. Now Hoverify has an option for me to download asset. What I don't know is will it let me download the video from this site? All right, so if I click on videos, I can see here's the video. So I'm going to go ahead and download that video for uploading it to my Zenler school. Okay, so I've downloaded the video. Now what I want to do here is I'm going to move the space up a bit and I'm going to add a new block. And this new block again is going to be an empty block. In this, we're going to add 100% row. And then from here, as far as elements, we're going to choose videos and then I'll upload that video right here. All right, so that video is uploaded and you can see it right here. The only thing it's not going to do that the Vadoo's website is doing is the autoplay functionality. So if you go back here, you can see it autoplays. Zenler does not have autoplay, which actually is not a bad thing because most browsers don't like autoplay. So we have added the video, we have added the text, but I actually forgot this little button here. So let's go and add this button in our Zenler school. So for the button, I'm going to go back here to my text. I'm going to hit a little plus and then go to buttons, and then I'm going to add that button right there. Now, obviously this looks too big. We don't want it that big. So I'm going to go and change some of the settings, show you how we can make this match what's on Vadoo's website. All right. So first thing you want to do, if you want to not have this full width, is when you click on the button settings, go to the bottom here where it says width, and we're going to change this to normal. So you can see right away that width has been shortened. Then we're going to put in our font, make sure it's our brand font, and we can leave it regular instead of bold. Now to change the actual text of the button, we want to go into settings, and this is where you can say try Vadoo or whatever it is that your call to action is. Perfect. So I have it the way I wanted. Now what I want to do is go back to style, and remember the original button is black in color. So I want that same style here. So I'm going to change this to black, and the font looks too big. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Perfect. And then the border corner, I'm going to give it a more prominent corner to match what we have here. Now if I click out somewhere, you can see that the button is shaping up and looking exactly like how it is on Vadoo's website. I also want to remove this border corner. So I'm just going to choose the transparent color. Now we don't have a corner color for the border. Next, if you want to link this button to something, you would go into settings, choose an action, and choose what you want to do when someone clicks on this button. We're not going to do that here. That's not the scope of the video. The scope is to show you how you can design really great pages using Zenler. So I'm going to save that, and now this page is shaping up to look similar to what Vadoo's page looks. So let's continue building this out. Next, we have a bunch of images here and text. So how I know these are images is this one, especially if I right click, I can see save as image. I think the 3M might just be text, but it would make sense to have everything as an image. So this is text because I can highlight it. This I can't highlight, so it's an image. This is also text and also text. Image, image. These three are images, and then this one is text. So let's try and build this out. This would probably be one of the most complex things to build in Zenler, but let's see how far we get. Let me just take a screenshot of this to show you. What you can see here is this is a single row that has 4 columns, right? So that's how you want to look at it, is how many columns are there, and then you can further break this down into, is this one row and this another row and this one more. So you can probably stack it as 3 rows with 4 columns or one big row with 4 columns. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add a empty block. You guessed it right. And then on that empty block, we're going to add our rows. So let's add this 25% row. So now we have our 4 boxes here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the images and then show you how to play around with it. All right, I have uploaded the images to match what we have here. So what's interesting is this is an image, but in the middle, there's some text. So there's some inconsistencies here, but we're going to try to mimic it as close as possible. So to add that text, what I'm going to do is simply click add, click on the text and then add it, and copy product of the day, go here and paste it. Now, obviously I need to fix some of these things here, but I'm going to show you how to do that. First, I want to make this smaller. So I'm going to just click on the image and drag it to be a little bit smaller. Same thing with this one. We want it smaller. So I'm going to do that. And then for the product of the day, let's invoke our Hoverify again and see what this is. So 16 pixel is the text, and again it's enter, which we don't have. So I'm gonna go to settings, make sure I use my PT Sans, and 16 is good. I'm gonna change the color to black, and I just have a habit of hitting save all the time so I don't lose my work. If you forget to hit save and you had been going along, you can always go into version history and see what was the last version that you could restore from. Let's now make these small as well. So once you have made this star small, what you can do is delete this one because you already have it the way you want it, clone it, and then copy and drag it over. So that's how I have done it in the past. If I have an element exactly how I want it, I will just copy and then drag it over. All right, finally we need to add some text. So I'm going to hit the plus again. Actually, since we already have this text here, let's clone it, and I'll move this one here, clone it again, and move it here. So now we have our text, we have our images, and then we also need to fill this one here. Don't worry about the formatting just yet. I'm going to show you how to fix the formatting. First, we take care of the content, and then we come back and take care of the formatting. So we have our text here. Now what I want to do is, since I had cloned it, I know it's the same font. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Let's go with 30, and then let's do the same for this one. I'm going to make it bold and go with 30. Actually, let me try it a little bit more for font size. So let's go with 36. That looks much better. This one was 4.6, and same thing here. So with text, if you highlight it, you get this quick menu here, but you can always hit the settings button to have that other menu open on the side, which is this one right here. So I'm gonna again hit save. Now you can see that this isn't looking exactly how the other one is. So we might have to go with our option to make 3 separate rows. So what I did is I just cloned the same row 3 times. So from this one, I'm going to delete the image, and what I'm going to do is same thing with the rest of the rows. So you get the idea. All right, so now what we need to do is add that text in the beginning here, which is this one. So again, we're going to keep it matching with the font. So I'm going to clone this one, bring it over here, and then we can just rename it. The next is users and then countries. So this users is the same as the product of the day. I'm going to clone this piece of text, bring it here and call it users. I'm going to hit save. You can see some of those right click for more options or being persistent. That's why I hit save to get rid of it. And then let's clone this, bring it here, and this one says 190 countries. This is bold. Now the text for this one seems a little bit bigger, so let me just inspect and see. So this is also 16, so I think we'll just keep it at 16 because I believe, yep, mine's already 16 as well. So this is looking way better than we first started. What I've noticed is that this G2 icon isn't really getting any smaller, which is fine. I think at this point we should be good to move on. But before we move on, what I want to do is highlight this entire row, go into its settings, and then click the vertical alignment. Make sure our vertical alignment is top so everything gets aligned, and then our horizontal alignment is center. That's completely fine. And then also let's click on these images and make sure that they are also aligned properly. I think this looks good. The one thing I would do is I would add some more spacing between the stars and the logos, because if I look here, you can see there is some spacing there between the stars and the logo. So how do you add spacing? You can simply click on your image and add some spacing to the top, and that's going to push it down. Now this Capterra one looks aligned with G2, so I'm going to leave that one blank or leave the spacing as it is, but also add spacing to the product hunt, and then also add spacing to our text, so everything is aligned well. Now if I click out, you can see that this is looking much better. The product of the day maybe come down a little bit more to align with the stars, so let's bring that down. But now that we brought that down, it pushed our other image down further, so I'm going to reduce the spacing on that. Okay, I like the way this is looking. I'm going to save it. Now here's where the challenge is going to come in, so let's see how this looks on mobile. For that, we're going to head to our icons here from the drop down and select mobile. Okay, I think it's actually not looking too bad on mobile, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. I am going to reduce some of this white space. Perfect. And let's continue. All right, I think the hard part is done. Now the rest should be fairly easy. So next one, if by now you should know what this next one is, but let's build it together. So for this one, first what we'll do is add another headline. I'm going to hit the plus, add an empty block. Within that block, we're going to add the 100% row, and then within that row, we're going to add our element. And you'll notice sometimes the Zenler builder gets stuck. It doesn't happen that often, but as you're building the page, it does take a lot of Chrome resources. So I've noticed that every once in a while I have to save my changes, refresh the page, and then it starts working again. So my page has reloaded. Now I'm going to hit add element, and we're going to add our heading again. And let's go to its setting, make sure we have the correct font. Let's make it bold and also make it much larger and black color. Perfect. Now comes the next fun part. So we have our title. Under this, we have a box that has a nice shadow to it. And then within that box, if we go back to our screenshot tool, we have a single row, and then within that row we have a 2-column layout, and that's what we are going to build here. So again, go back to your editor. Let's add a 50-50 row here, and for that 50-50 row, we are going to add text on the left side and then an image on the right side, because that's what this is. So there's 2 different pieces of text here. So I'm going to add the text element, and then I'm just going to clone this headline and drag it and add it here. So first we'll take care of the headline, and now let's go and inspect. All right, so this one is 30 pixels. I'm going to go back, change the size on this, but we leave it at PT Sans, and then this one I believe should be 16 pixels. So I'm going to do the same here, and you can see that this is left aligned. So I'm going to show you how to align that properly. So first I'm going to go to my headline, go to the bottom here and make sure that the alignment is left. Then I'm going to select my text, do the same thing, align it left. Let's change its color, and we're going to change this to our brand font. And then the line height, I think I want to increase it a bit because I want to give it some breathing room so it's easy to read. Then on the right side here, what we're going to do is we're going to add images, and then I'll upload that same image here. All right, so I've added the image. I've went to its setting and given it some rounded corners. Now, what's still missing from this, it's looking very close to what we have on Vadoo's website, is the shadow. So to get that shadow, you can't get that from Zenler. If you click on the settings for this, you will see that there is no option to add shadow. You can add a background color, but no shadow. So how do you do that? You cannot out of the box do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to explain this to AI, how to do it, and see if we can mess with the code. So in order to do this, what you want to do is go to your block, hover over it, and you'll see this little arrow, and each block has its own arrow. And when you hover over that arrow, it expands and you'll be able to see the code. Now, do this at your own risk. Your mileage may vary. You might break things. So just heed that warning before you get into it. So I'm going to copy this, then take it to my favorite AI tool. You take it to whatever AI tool you prefer, and let's see if we can get somewhere with a prompt. All right, I've given it my prompt, and my prompt says I have an element here that I'd like to apply some shadow to. Below is the element code. The shadow should be applied to the block that has the text, which says generate AI videos from text, and the rest of it, which is essentially this block here. And it also has an image in that same element. See screenshot of the element. And then I took a screenshot, added it here to my ChatGPT, and I said below is the existing code for that block. Can you please update the code so it has the shadow around the border? I'm going to add our code here and hit send. Again, do this at your own risk. I am not sure it's going to work, but it's worth playing with. So what ChatGPT is saying is I've updated your code to include a shadow effect around the entire block that contains the text and the image. The shadow effect is applied as the box shadow CSS property. And then here's our modified code. So I'll wait for this code to compile, get complete, and then I'll just simply copy and paste it back into my Zenler code. All right, our code is compiled. Let's cross our fingers and see what happens. So I'm going to copy this code. Then what we're going to do is head back over to our Zenler page editor. I'm going to get to that HTML again, paste it, and hit save. Doesn't look like anything happened even when I hit save. So let me just hit preview, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, I can see the shadow. The shadow is actually here on the entire element. So the shadow is there, but it's very subtle and it's on the entire element. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it one last try. I'm going to take a screenshot from Vadoo's page and then highlight it so I can tell ChatGPT what I am looking for. So my prompt is close enough, see the screenshot. That's how I want the shadow, just around that element, not the entire box. Fingers crossed. Let's see if we get any closer. Again, this is just a trial and error. You don't have to get it 100% perfect, but this is how I typically try it. If I hit a roadblock, I go to my favorite AI tool, troubleshoot it, see if I can get it closer. If not, then I just move on with the limitations that I am dealing with and continue to build my page. All right, so it says ChatGPT has said what was fixed, how they fixed it based on the screenshot. Let's give it one more try and see if it actually works. So I'm gonna again take that code, copy it, paste it. Oh, and here we have it. That looks sick. So this is how I typically do it. If you're stuck, take something that you're stuck with, put it in your favorite AI tool, and you are likely to get unstuck. Now, one thing to note here, on the original website, this is the only box that has the shadow and the headline is above it. So we can try that as well. Is I can first close this gap a bit, close both of these gaps a bit, and then I can add an empty box, or an empty block I should say, and then in that empty block I'll add this 100% row. Let's just move this here, and now we have our shadow box, and then we also have our headline. So it's looking good here. I'm gonna change some of the spacings and then also fix the font here. Actually, I think the font is good. Now that we have this one block as our master of what we want to do as far as the shadows, what I'm gonna do is clone this, and after cloning it, what we can do is move this image to the left and then move the text to the right. So this becomes that alternating image and text just like we have here. And that's how I typically do it. Get one thing to be perfect and then move it around, clone it, make copies of it. That way you don't have to recreate it every single time. So now I'm going to do this 2 more times. I'm going to move this video in fast forward, build this out, and be back once we are done with these 4 blocks, and then we move on to this piece right here. Thanks for sticking around with me. While you're watching me in fast forward, if you want, smash that subscribe button so you get notified next time I release a new video. Let's get started. All right, we're back. I'm done with my blocks here. So let me go into preview mode to show you what this looks like to the end user. We have our headline, our button, things are coming along. We have our 4 column layout here. And then we have our alternating boxes that have this cool shadow effect. Now, a couple of these images I wasn't able to replicate. The ones from Vadoo, they are using a different format and Zenler wouldn't accept it, which is fine. You get the idea. Now we move on to the next step here. So again, for this, what I can do is potentially repurpose this layout here, but we can also build it from scratch. It's probably going to be faster if I build it from scratch than to actually duplicate it from the top and then drag it all the way to the bottom. So I'm just going to add an empty block, go back here, and I think this one we'll just go with just the text before we move on to the next block. We'll have a heading text here, and what I want to do is I'm going to add a 33rd row, move this in the middle, and then just give it a little bit of breathing room, but I want it to be much shorter than this box here. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. And now let's apply our brand fonts. Now in Zenler, there is a setting to apply your brand fonts under branding, so you don't have to do this every single time. But because I didn't do that for this video, I'm going to have to apply my branding fonts every single time. No big deal. We are going to do that. We're going to hit save on this. And now for the next one, what I want to do is add an empty block. And this one looks again like a 50-50 layout. So we're going to add that as well. Let's do our 50-50 layout. I'm going to change some of the spacings. And then what we have here in Vadoo is essentially 2 headings and then 2 different images. So I'll try to add that as well. I don't know if the images will work, but let's give it a shot. First, we add our text element. Actually, I'm just going to clone this one here and let's add it to this block right here. I'll just make it a bit shorter instead of our 50 pixels. So let's go to our settings and make this 30. Then I can clone this and move it here. Perfect. Then we have an image here and an image here. So and this image also looks like it has a background. So I'm going to go to my text element, add a new element, go to images, and let me see if I can upload that exact image without having any issue. All right, that one image worked, one didn't, but this is what it looks like, which is pretty similar to this. So you get the idea. Now, one thing to note here, which Zenler cannot do, and you can maybe play with AI to get this to happen, is here you can see these three different links, and when I click them, it essentially just changes this image into a carousel. Zenler has a carousel element, but it won't be as slick as this, so I'm not even going to attempt it. So we're going to move on to the next one, which is this one. I can see this has three different icons and then a 3-column layout, and then also a heading. So this one should be fairly easy to do. I'm going to remove some of the spacing, hit save, and what we're going to do is I'm going to clone this part right here. Once I have cloned it, I'm going to move it down one level. So that piece is done. All I need to do is copy this, paste it here, and you can see that the Vadoo's website has a lot of breathing room. So just keep that in mind as you're building this out, to make sure that you have breathing room and not everything is crunched up together. I'm going to do the 33 layout in this one, and then next what we're going to do is add some of this text here into our Zenler school. So I'll go here, let's go to add a heading 2, and then under that heading we're going to add a text element, and then I also want to add an icon element. So the first icon is the icon of a person, so I'm just going to search for person. Okay, that didn't bring me the result that I was looking for, so I'm just going to scroll and search for an icon that looks similar to the one on Vadoo's website here. All right, instead of person, I found that it's called user. So now I can pick one of these. Let's just pick this one here. And what I want to do is drag this over the heading. Now I'm going to hit the settings icon on the icon and see if I can align it to the left. So I'm not seeing a left alignment, but that's okay because I have a trick up my sleeve. So I'm going to add another 3-column layout within one of the 3-column layouts. Sorry, I know this could sound confusing, and add the column to the left, and then also I'm going to align the rest of the items to the left as well, because you can see here everything is aligned to the left. And remember, always try to get the first one correct, and then you can always clone it and paste it across the rest. So we're going to now apply our brand font. We're going to change the color and do the same thing here. Now the icon still doesn't look fully aligned to the left, so what I'm going to do is go into its settings, and in its settings I want to apply some spacing. So let's play with this. Left spacing won't work. Okay, right spacing is what I'm looking for. So I applied right spacing, brought it all the way to the left, and if I click out of here, you can see that this is looking much better. Again, sometimes you can't get it 100% the way you want it, but you can get it pretty close. So I'm going to continue to save my changes. This way I don't lose anything. Now I can clone these elements and move them across the board here. So let's clone this stuff. The 3-column layout, I might not be able to move it because sometimes picking those things and moving them around Zenler is not the easiest way to do it. And I'll show you in a second what I mean. So now I have my font style, everything the way I wanted. Now if I wanted to clone this row, I can do it, but you can see that I'm having trouble dragging and dropping it. So in that case, we'll just have to build that from scratch for each of these. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add a 33 element here, move the heading down, and then same thing here. Now the last thing to do is add those icons and then do the alignment. So I'm going to pause this video, add the icons, do the alignment, and then there's a thing that I want to show you, which is something you should be mindful of as you're designing these pages and making those changes. All right, I've made the changes, added the icons, copied the text, and these are the icons that I could find that were closest match to what was on Vadoo's website. So what I wanted to tell you about is, now that we have added that spacing, you want to make sure that this looks good on mobile, because sometimes adding that spacing just messes things up on mobile. And you can see this is all messed up on mobile now. So what I do is go into settings, make sure that on mobile, and you'll see mobile only is highlighted here, that I fix that to go even farther to the right. Now this only goes up to 100, but you can type in a number here. So I can literally type in a number and it'll take that into consideration. So now on mobile, I have this going up to 400. I can see that there's a big gap between that and then my title. So now I also want to bring it down a bit. Now playing with spacing, it's not going to be possible to bring this down. You can try to play with it, but it's not going to work. So what's the workaround for that? The workaround is I'm going to go back to desktop. I'm going to have to clone this, and that cloned one I'm going to put as close to this as possible. And now we're going to play with this on mobile, but then it doesn't look that great on desktop. So there is a cure for this. So what I'm going to do is click on settings. Under settings, you'll see hide on. So I'm going to hide it on tablet and desktop, which means it'll only be available on mobile. And then for this one, I'm going to hit settings and do the opposite, where it's only visible on desktop and tablet and not on mobile. So I'm going to hide this one on mobile. The other one is hidden on desktop and tablet. So now when we toggle over, you will see that this one is much closer. And now I can apply the same spacing to bring it closer to the right. So let's go 400. That looks much better. Now I'm not going to do this for all of the elements, but just know that this is an option to kind of bring your page building skills to the next level using Zenler's editor. And then we have our pricing plan. Now in the pricing plan, I want to tell you that one thing that won't be possible is allowing people to choose their currency. The currency picker doesn't exist in Zenler, but you should be able to add this pricing table. I'm not sure that you'd be able to add the toggle for the monthly and the yearly plan, but we'll be able to add this table. So in order to do that, I'm going to add a new block. This time, instead of an empty block, I'm going to go to pricing, and you can see there are some pricing tables here. So I'm going to pick one that looks closest to the one in Vadoo, and here we go. Our pricing table is added. Now that you've seen me make all these changes, you will notice that this one should be fairly easy, but let's try to build it ourselves, and then finally we'll show you the FAQ and this box right here. So first I want to copy the name of the pricing table or the pricing plan and the amount, and then also the get started with video AI. So let's copy these three things and then we'll paste them here. All right, so for this pricing block, I've added the name, the amount per month, and another title. Now what I want to do is underneath this pre-filled canned text that Zenler gave me, I'm going to hit plus and I'm going to add a list. I'm going to add a list like this. Why? Because that's what Vadoo has here. And now we can simply copy and paste this stuff into our list. Now within your list, if you want to add more items, you just simply click enter and add additional items to your list. And I can go to the settings of the list and it opens up to the right. Same things are here. I can change the font, I can change the font color, the font size, all of that fun stuff is here. And then we want to change this icon, so I'm going to go into settings and I want to look for that similar icon that Vadoo has, which was this one right here. Perfect, here we go. And then if you want, you can give the icons a different color. I think Vadoo has kind of like a light gray color going on here, so we could do that as well. Perfect. I'm going to hit save. I'm not going to make all three pricing tables, but you get the idea of how to make these pricing tables look exactly how we saw on Vadoo's website. Moving on, we have the FAQs, and in fact on this one the FAQs don't collapse even though I see the chevron, but I'm going to show you in Zenler how you can make these collapse. So what I'm going to do is add a new block. Let's add an empty block in here, and then first I'm going to give it the frequently asked question heading. So let's do that, call it FAQs. We're going to paste that here. I'm not going to change the font anymore. I think you get the idea of how to change the font, so we're good there. I'm going to add a 50-50 column. So under that header, I'm going to add a new block, and I'm looking for this FAQ block, and then from here I can choose any one of these. So let's look at this one. Looks pretty simple. So this one already comes with the header, so in that case we can delete this one here. Perfect. And now what we can do is we can add our question and answer in here. So let me add a few of them, that way you can see how easy it is to customize this stuff. So I'm going to go to the settings and change the font size, so we can see that the question is at least a bit bigger than the answer. And I also want to change the font color. Now we'll do the same here. You can also highlight the text if you don't want to go into settings, and that typically opens the tiny text editor, but because we are on the FAQ element, I don't think it'll work. So again, click on the settings, wait for the settings pane to open here, and then you can make your changes. So I've added a couple of FAQ headers, and you would similarly add the answer to your FAQ. But what I want to show you here is if I highlight this entire FAQ block, you can go into its settings, change some of the stuff as soon as the settings open up, similar to what you have been used to. Additionally, you can click on this FAQ block in here. So if I highlight the entire FAQ block, I have to get it just right. Go into its settings. You will see some additional settings that you have not seen in any other block. First thing is the background color. So I can change the FAQ block background color, and you can see that went into effect. Then on the settings piece, you can choose multi-expand. That means they can expand more than one FAQ item at a time, and that's really what the FAQ settings is for. So let's hit save, go into preview mode, show you what the FAQ settings looks like. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I appreciate that. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and also I will drop my affiliate link in the description. If you get your Zenler subscription through me, you don't have to sit through designing a page from scratch, because I will hook you up with pre-made Zenler templates in the ZZ template library. So all those 200 plus pages is yours for the taking. For that, I will drop that affiliate link again in the description below. So let's go to our preview mode, and I will show you how that interactive FAQ block works. So here you can see that you are able to multi-expand the FAQ items. Pretty slick. We're getting to the end of it. Thank you for hanging around with me. This is the last piece here, which is our call to action. So let's add that. Again, I'm going to go back to the editor. Let's add an empty block, and we'll add a 100% row. Now you can see that this 100% row has, I want to say, like 2 columns, because the right side is blank, but on the left side they have the text and the button. So let's add a 2-column layout here, and then on the left side I will add the text and the button, but for some reason it's not letting me. So let's hit save, refresh the page, and then you should be able to add your text and your button. All right, let's add our text here. I'm just going to change the alignment. I'm not going to change the font and all that fun stuff. And then under this, we will add our buttons. So remember how we did last time. You will go here, you will change this to normal instead of full width. We'll also align this left, and let's make it a bit smaller. Remove the border color, and we'll give it corner. And let's just change our text as well. Done. Now what I want to do here is go into its settings to give it this background. I want to go into its settings, go down here where you see background image, and I'm going to try to upload that exact image that we saw earlier on Vadoo's website. Alright, I'm not able to upload that image. I'm getting the invalid file type. So what I did is I searched gradient, and Zenler has an integration with Pixabay. So I'm just looking through some of the available images through Pixabay, and maybe we can just use this one for now. And if we are going to use this one, I want to change the font color so it's more readable, and then also we can highlight this entire block and give it a border corner. Now you can also do the same thing where you go to ChatGPT, figure out how to give it some shadows to make it pop just like this one. And with that, our Zenler page is complete. The one thing that I wanted to show you, which would be the last item, is the header. So I'm going to again go hit plus. You can have the dynamic header, but you will not get the same look that we saw on Vadoo's website. So for that, what I want to do is go into navigation bars and pick one of these navigation bars, and then I want to move it to the top. Now the difference between this one and the dynamic one is the dynamic one automatically pulls in content. This one you will have to design on your own. This is a static menu bar. There is nothing dynamic about it, so you will have to click on each one of these and change it. We're not going to get as close as this one because Vadoo is using Webflow, which is a super advanced editor, but just want to show you how you can add that header. Now for this top line here, we should be able to do this. So right above the header, what I can do is I can add an empty block, then we add a element, and let's add our text in here. what I'm going to do here for the text. Let's go to our settings, make this bold. Again, I'm not going to change the fonts, but this is just to show you the art of possible. Then I'm going to change the background color of this to black, and let's just remove the spacing from top and bottom. And once you have removed the spacing from top and bottom, you can also go into the text and remove any spacings and paddings that the text might have. Once you have done that, what I want to do is move this to the top, hit save, and now our little announcement area is here. All right, now we can preview this page. This is what it looks like. Of course, you'll have to work a little bit more on the menu, but I think we were able to get this about 90% close to what Vadoo has, if not closer. So using Zenler's page editor, maybe a tiny piece of code that ChatGPT helped us with, but if you won't tell anyone, I won't tell anyone. But this is what the final result looks like. I will drop this in the description so you can check it out, play around with the page, let me know what you thought. And also, if you have a page that you have built on Zenler, please drop that in the comments. I would love to see it. If you want me to build a custom page for you, my team is on standby. Shoot me a message. I will put my email below. You can reach out to me and my team will be able to help you build a page if you don't have the time. If you don't want to go through the templates, you like a page that you want to build, we can help you with that. And there you have it, course heroes. That is how you can use Zenler's page editor to create awesome pages without any code. Maybe a little bit of code, but we had some help. So thank you again for watching. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. And until next time, keep creating.